So I had a question come from one of my coaching clients this week, well, a couple actually. One was, okay, Heather, I was doing so good, 2 weeks, eating well, doing the exercise, feeling so fabulous. I stepped on the scale, it went up 3 pounds. I then went on a 2 week bender of eating whatever I want, saying, screw it. I've wasted all this money, time, energy on this goal. I'm still spinning my wheels. I'm still not where I want to be. My scale weight is up and total meltdown, right? And then I have other people who contact me saying, I'm just not feeling it today. Like I ultimately am doing the healthy habits. I've committed to the lifestyle, but Heather, I don't feel it. Like I'm not jonesed. I'm not excited. I'm just doing the things. And I really want to talk about this idea of professionalism. And I've talked about it kind of in some other resources here in the community, whether it's videos, whether it's been some postings. But I talk a lot about this idea of being a professional in all areas of your life, not just your career. Okay. And so when this one client was sharing this with me, okay, I've been really working hard for 2 weeks, putting in the work, didn't get the outcome I desired. So then I said, screw it, did what I really wanted to do, which was counter to everything I had been working on the last 2 weeks. And I said to her, she's built a successful business. She's been working at for 6 years. She is the head honcho of her company. She's flying all over the place, travels the world. Wonderful thing that she's created, right? And I asked her, I said, is that the position you take with your business? And she laughed. She says, absolutely not, Heather. I would never do that in my business. Okay, why? Because you're a professional. A professional gets hit with a little bit of resistance. They find a solution. They get hit with a little bit of resistance and or a negative attitude from a client, and they don't unleash on them. They calm themselves down and they handle it like a professional, right? You would not have the career you have. You wouldn't have a degree hanging on your wall. You wouldn't have a consistent paycheck coming in. You wouldn't have any of that if you handled your business life the way you handle your weight loss life. And what I mean by that is when you step on the scale, drop the expectation that it's going to behave the way you think it should. Assume it's going to be the client who doesn't pay you, or they bounce the check, or they just ghost you for no reason and you have no idea. And so you don't then turn to the other clients you have on your roster and say, you know what? I'm going to call them all up, complain, fire them all. I have another client, she manages a hotel. And I said, if you had somebody come in, like say a high school basketball team or a college basketball team, and say you have 200 rooms, and let's say that they trash 100 of the rooms, right? This team comes in, they destroy the rooms. They are not rentable right now. I said to her, would you use the same philosophy you're using with the scale and go in and destroy the other 100 rooms so you could be sure you got nothing available for the next person that comes in wanting to rent a room? And she, of course, laughed, right? No, I would never do that, Heather, because you're a professional. A professional learns how to handle disappointment. They learn how to handle problems without self-destructing, because they see the greater good, the outcome to be in 10 years, in 20 years. They realize this one problematic client, these 100 trashed hotel rooms, these people who did not have their check clear is not their entire business. They realize that there is other things they can do. And if they were then to shut down shop because they had this one problem or this one inconvenience, they would never have a profitable business. They would, the company who is paying them every month, if they did that with the hotel situation, they'd get fired. They'd have no job, right? So you don't do things that way because think about your relationships. Let's just say you don't work. Say you don't have a career, okay? You don't go to somebody you truly love. They say one thing that kind of annoys you. You're having a bad day. You don't go, I don't want to ever see you again. Screw you. Hit the road. Don't ever call me again. You don't do that. Why? Because you're a professional in your relationships. You care about the other person. You can understand that in this moment, that person might have hurt your feelings. They maybe said something extremely rude, or maybe they weren't there for you in the way that you wanted. But what you realize in that moment is you're not going to let that one situation be the thing that causes you to unleash on them and ultimately really blow up the relationship, ruin the relationship. Now, I'm not speaking about toxic relationships, by the way. I should be clear on that. I'm talking about a fairly healthy relationship of give and take, balance, one that's proven the test of time. I'm talking about those kinds of relationships. But my point is, you don't self-sabotage a relationship that you care greatly for and you see long-term benefits from because today this one person screwed you over or did something you didn't like. Here's the deal. The problem we have is we compartmentalize our professionalism. We think that it's okay to be professional at work. We think it's okay to be professional in our relationships and have an understanding of how these things go. But when it comes to ourselves, and when it comes to weight loss, and when it comes to self-improvement and self-education and making mistakes, it's as if that doesn't exist in that world, but it has to. I told the client I spoke to last night, this is her Mount Everest. This is the thing she's got to climb. Because if she continues to do 2 weeks of positive choices, followed by 2 weeks of destructive choices, which come out of anger because of a seeming non-progression on the scale, she will be in this loop for eternity because the scale, as we all know, right? Because you've been in the program, taking module 1, you took the Getting Sane with the Scale course. What you've learned is that is an unpredictable outcome. You can't be guaranteed it's going to move in a linear fashion and go exactly how you want it to go based on your level of effort. But what you can know is you could show up day in and day out, put on your professional hat, choose to brush your teeth because you don't want to get cavities, choose to take a shower so you're having good hygiene and smell well, putting on clean clothes. You can choose to go for a walk and go to the gym to move your body in a positive way. You can choose to put vegetables on your plate and watch what you're eating in order to maybe achieve a healthier weight or body for yourself. Those are all actions that are within your control. That's what you want to focus on. And if we can stop being reactive, stop acting as an amateur, right? When I think about that difference, right? I think the professional is the person who's been doing this a while. They understand, they can know how to temper expectations, they can learn how to deal with disappointment. But when I think of like a college student coming in and they're just like hot under the collar, they've never really worked a full-time job, they don't have that work ethic. They might come in one day and literally storm out. They don't have the professional attitude. They get fired on the spot. I've seen this happen before because they have not had that life experience to understand that that's sometimes how it goes. And sometimes you're not going to have the day at work you want. You're going to get the client or the customer at your counter that gives you attitude. But you don't then go irate on them, make yourself look bad, handle it in a non-professional way and expect that you're going to get to keep your job and continue to bring in a paycheck, right? We don't do that in any other area of our life. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is take what I'm saying here and ask yourself, quite honestly, what does being a professional look like for you? Find the area in your life that you have shown up and you've put the work in even when you didn't want to. Maybe it's being a mom and changing diapers in the middle of the night, right? That there are parents, I hate to say, that don't do all the parental responsibilities that they are quote unquote supposed to do. Hence why sometimes the states come in and take children away, right? They've opted out of that professional position, as sad as it is. They're not feeding their children. They're not bathing their children. They're not making sure they're getting an education. So the state comes in and they take them away because you know what? That person's not acting as a professional in that moment. So what we want to think about professionalism means I understand what is required of me. I am willing to do the work because I see the greater good of what I'm doing. In the moment, do I want to get out of bed and go change a diaper and feed a baby? No. But I know that in the long run, that's what's best for my child and their growth and their health. I don't necessarily want to show up at work today, but I know my family likes to eat and I know they like electricity and water. So I'm choosing to do that, even though in this moment, I don't really want to because I'm a professional. I'm choosing to take care of myself and do these healthy behaviors because I'm a professional. And I want to have that go all across all aspects of my life because I realize that when I act as an amateur at this, what I mean by that is, again, we don't have that life experience. We can't see the positivity to come down the road from the work you're putting in today. We have a very limited view, right? We react, we don't truly think things through. And in that moment, you're giving over to your emotions, which is going to cause you to self-destruct, which is going to cause you not to get to the ultimate goal that you're shooting for. And that, if that's you, if I've described you tonight, because again, I talk to so many people who have these issues. So I guarantee you, I'm talking to somebody right now directly and their hand is up and they're like, hey, Heather, that's me. How did you know that if I'm speaking to you right now, ask yourself, am I acting as a professional in this area of my life, just like I do for my business, just like I do in my relationships, just like I do with being a parent? Do I do this here? And what does that look like if I change that? Because I told her once she becomes a professional at taking care of herself and doing the things that she needs to do, just like she grew a fantastic business in 6 years, she can really change her health outcomes. She can get to a totally different place. I have no question about it, but she has to take that same perspective, attitude, and focus and apply it to this.